We'll call this meeting in order. Everyone, please rise. This time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Mahler to give the invocation.
Pray with me if you would. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to bring you thanks and to bring you the glory for the rain that we've received in our area. Lord, you spared us from the worst of the bad weather and brought the healing rains, and we appreciate that so much. And we're asking that you would continue that trend, to continue to heal our land and make us whole again. And you are the one that has the power to do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the blessings that you've bestowed upon this area of Texas. Lord, we ask that you'd go with us today as we make decisions to run this county. We'd ask that you be with our men and women in the field that are in harm's way, whether they be law enforcement, first responders, our military, the folks that get out and serve us each and every day. Thank you for the many blessings. Thank you for the guidance that you provide. And let us walk in the light of your life. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, sir. Y'all join me in pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge, please. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Take your seats, please. If I could ask the court to take action on the consent agenda.
Judge, having reviewed the consent agenda on Friday and again this morning, I'd make a motion that we pass the consent agenda as presented.
Right, sir.
Second.
Let me make one correction. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this before y'all did it, if you'll accept this. In item number 4, it's a total of 6 hours I get for judicial education. The form says 4, and what I was trying to explain, when you teach, they give you triple credit for it. I'm not sure it was worth it, but I got it. I know, Meredith, that it's something that's allowable because that's all approved by the court of the Supreme Court. But anyhow, so it does give me 6 hours credit.
6 hours. All right, I will change my motion to reflect that.
And just strike out the phrase "an additional 2 hours for teaching." That
we will strike
it. Thank you. All right. Motion by Commissioner Mahler, second by Commissioner Watts to approve the consent agenda with the one deletion of language in item 4. Any other comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Those laptop projects, we had the amendment in March that actually raised it from the initial one, and then the county auditor's office provided Ashley with the number from the new projected total for that project, and this number is reflected from the original plus the supplement, which does include the amendment made in March. So if there's not any other returns or anything, the actual project cost as a current would be $45,128.67 with this $39 purchase.
128.69, man.
67.
67. Okay.
So we'll accept that amendment then.
Yeah, I will amend my motion to accept that.
Okay, Commissioner Watts.
Second.
All right. Okay. Well, that sure might have broken the bank. Thank you, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
We'd be looking for that $105.
Never know.
You never know.
Okay. Item number 1 is review and approve the emergency and regular bills for payment.
Judge, I reviewed and make a motion that we approve the emergency and regular bills for payment.
Thank you.
I'll second that, Judge.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Mahler to approve paying emergency and regular bills as presented. Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, or take action to approve the continuation of the position of imaging clerk for the Tax Assessor Collector's Office in an ongoing effort to scan and digitize all Wichita County Tax Office files necessary for record retention requirements at a pay rate of $10 per hour plus temporary staffing fees of up to $5 per hour for a total of $15 per hour. The imaging clerk will continue as an employee of the temporary staffing company and will have no Wichita County benefits. Mr. Smythe?
Chief Glasgow.
We came before the court back last year, May of 2014, with the ideal, after having talked to one of the commissioners and the county judge, that we had files on hand in our motor vehicle department that were very sensitive in nature, and we felt like instead of keeping paper copies of those documents on hand in filing cabinets, that'd be best if we just scan those, digitalize that into our records that we keep there in the office, and then we could refer to that on our desktop computers as needed when customers came in to renew their handicap placards. There was a mix there between Social Security records, disabled veteran records, and medical records as well. We got approval in July to carry forward with that. We got with my staff and set up a temporary position at $10 per hour, with additional $5 going to my staff for a total of $15 an hour for that individual to come in and work an odd amount of hours within a specified time frame and a specified amount of hours to be worked to achieve that. Started in July 21st with that position. We came back to the court in December of last year, I think it was on the 29th, requesting more time because the further we got into the project, it became evident that we were going to need more than just that period of time or those amount of hours to achieve that project. It became very evident to me as well as staff that we're in this process. We need to expand what we're scanning. We have all kinds of records that we have to retain either by state property tax code, or the Attorney General requires us to, or Department of Motor Vehicles requires us to keep those records. Some of them up to as many as 5 years. Other records are permanent. So we went before the court in December of last year, got permission to extend that, started back with that project first, second week of January, and in that, what we asked for the court to give us and they approved was 3 months to be able to achieve that. The further we got into it, we realized this would be an ongoing thing. Looking at our records, we were looking at a remodel, and we had I'd already cleared out our storeroom upstairs with about 12 pallets of paper that we were keeping on hand. And the deeper we get into it, we see the value of trying to continue this process on a regular basis because in our office, most of our records cannot be just put into a computer and it's there and we can retrieve that any time. When customers come into that office, they require a paper receipt. So we're always generating paper. When an outside auditing agency for the county or an internal audit or auditor for the county comes into our office, they require most of the time something to be looked at on paper, not on a computer screen. And we provide copies of those records. As well as we collect for 7 other taxing entities, and those auditors also require us to send them. Sometimes they do not want an electronic exchange of information, they want something printed, so we have to provide that. We're trying to downsize the amount of paper that we keep in that office or in storage upstairs. With the remodel, which I mentioned earlier, it's going to make that job a lot easier. We have a lot less things to move when we do get to that remodel. We've already seen what the county clerk's office is going through. We have even more records than they do, or at least we did. At this point, we're about 53 to 54% through that process of getting the last 5 years plus historical documents scanned and put into digital record. The reason we're here today is because when that was approved back in December of last year, it was for 3 months. The auditor's office looked at that strictly as a calendar day. So if we started on January the 15th, go forward 3 calendar months, and now we've run out of what the court's approved. Our office was not looking at that as a calendar date. We were looking at that based upon a 8-hour workday, 5 days a week, total of 480 hours. We still have 220 hours remaining in that, partly because we are using a college student to do that, to achieve that. And so, as with any college student, he has his schedule to keep. And so there are times when he can work 15, 20 hours a week, and there's other times it might be 7 or 8 hours a week. But it's based solely upon what his availability is. It's been a good situation for our office and what we've been able to achieve so far. We're just asking to be able to continue that throughout the rest of this year so we do not have to come back to the court again asking for more time. And we still, like I said, we still have 220-something hours on the books that we have not spent, even though we've exhausted that 3 calendar months. And I'm open to any questions.
Well, then help me here. What if 3 months doesn't work for you? How many hours do y'all want to? I mean, you got to pick. No one interprets that 3 months. I'm sorry, I'm with the auditor's office. That's calendar time. If you tell me you want X number of hours, then the court can approve that. I mean, that's you got to help us there.
Well, I'll try as much as I can. It's an educated best because that type of work, and I'm sure if you checked with the other offices that are currently using their own scanning situations, a document is different every time you scan it.
Okay.
In other words, some documents take less time and some take more.
No, and the other thing I have to ask in the middle of this is, you know, when we talked about some of those records, we talked about whether there was any reason for you all to have them, especially the veterans' medical records. And
we got a reply back, an email reply back from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and they have requested that we keep those on file.
that's just ludicrous.
I don't disagree, Judge.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's for their auditing purposes or not, because in fact, we're supposed to have an auditor from DMV come in today. Last I heard, they've rescheduled until July, but that's one of the areas that they look at.
Then let's talk to them about it, because all I've ever turned in on my DV plate is my ideal from VA says what my level of disability is. And that's all it should be. I don't think anybody in your office has a medical degree nor needs one for what you all do. But some medical training is not there, and I know y'all are in agreement with me. I just think we really need to push on that determination. There is.
I agree. I mean, our office, that's what started all this to begin with. We're not comfortable in keeping somebody's medical records because it leaves us open to who knows what kind of liability.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, if you wanted to, you could give us that 3 months, that gross number of hours, and request that today. That could be approved today. The other thing I would ask you, I sent you all an email last night. I actually sent it back to Tommy. To Lori Bohannon, copied Tommy. There's a Work Services Corporation has gone into using sheltered workshop personnel into the commercial scanning business.
We would be open to entertaining their proposal, but I'm not real comfortable with it myself. Just like you're not comfortable with those records being in our office, I'm not real comfortable with some of the records we have that I consider they're not public records. Some are and some aren't. Okay. Having an individual who's not under our guidance, who's not a county employee.
Well, you're using one now who's not a county employee.
Because he's under our guidance and there's a level of trust there.
Okay. But this is not a foreign act. There are confidentiality agreements. There are things to be reviewed by Meredith, but I'm just saying a lot of the world is using a third party to do very sensitive information. They're bonded. You know, you go through all that with them. I just wondered if it would be, one, if it'd be faster, second, would it be more economical? And that's all I'd ask you to look in. She has visited with the county clerk about this, and Lori has concerns on some of her records. We haven't gotten over that, but I'm just saying, the rest of the world, in part, is doing this kind of thing.
And
So-
we're open to looking at those proposals, Judge. Just two things I bring up. I don't know that they're going to be able to do it any less expensive than we are. You know,
I don't either until we ask them, yeah. But I'm thinking time-wise, they could sure do it in less of a piecemeal
Yeah.
effort of y'all.
Well, originally, back when I came to the court in December, I thought that we were going to be able to get through our 5-year backlog of records that we have, as well as the historical documents. But I also, on the flip side of that, the plan was to train 2 of the employees, one in motor vehicle and one in property tax, to carry the scanning forward from January 1st, 2015 into the future. That way we wouldn't need any kind of assistance inside or outside.
Correct.
But the thing that we've come up against, and you can discuss it freely with our supervisors, they're not willing to let go of their line staff to get them off the line on a regular basis to be able to keep up with the record retention. And that's, you know, 1 week you may have the ability to cut somebody loose for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is, to do that necessary work. But the next week, it may not be available because we have to take care of the phones, we have to take care of the mail, and we have to take care of the incoming traffic first. That's the priority. Customers do not, taxpayers do not understand somebody sitting at the back of the office scanning documents. So, but I'm open to any recommendation. If they want to bring it to us, we'll be glad to sit down and talk to them about it.
Well, I gave you all the information, her email address, see whether she can do you any good or not, whether
Okay.
she can meet your safety and security concerns.
Well, and one of the things, you know, as far as reaching out community, one of the things our office has done now probably since October of last year, we've partnered with the state hospital. All of the documents that we do scan and that are being shredded, we are shredding those, but we are also having the state hospital come by every Monday and pick up that shredded material. They've inquired as well about doing that shredding for us, but at this point in time, our staff is able to handle that. And that reminds me of something else that our staff is doing when we do have any kind of lag time, is the clerks are going through all those documents, getting them prepared. See, that's the other part of that equation. It's not just taking paper and scanning it through, making sure it's put in the proper order, but you have to clean that paperwork up. You have to make sure that it's not got a staple in it. You have to make sure it's not taped or bound in any way. So that's something the staff is doing to be able to get that over to be scanned and do that in a more timely process. So we're looking at ways to shorten that time period, but like I said, the further we get into this, I'm looking at this situation being an ongoing situation because we do not want to continue to retain 5+ years of records in that office. It takes up way too much space.
I agree.
What is, Clay, the document management procedure you have? I mean, now we had files of all these records, and now we have them on hard drive somewhere. How is that maintenanced? What program do we do to?
We're using Laserfish, which is what's being used in the county. We partnered with IT department on that. We currently, instead of us going out and buying the type of scanning device that we would need, which can run about $3,500, the IT department, I think back in February, March of last year, purchased a machine, 2 machines actually. One of them is in the county clerk's office. We have the other one. At some point in time, I know the Veterans Office wants to do the same thing with their records, but they've had some changes in that office, so the urgency to do that has...
Well, the biggest problem at that
Yes.
office is getting the state to agree what format they'll accept that in, and they can't seem to come up with that.
But with Laserfish, it's a group that we've partnered with through IT. We're using IT's equipment to do that.
Well,
It's a 2-step process. Not once it's scanned and digitalized and put into record, and we set that up the way we want to be able to retrieve it easily. But this also allows our substations who, if somebody comes in there and they need a record, they can go onto their desktop and pull up that record. They don't have to call us. They don't have to get that sent over from our office. So it's throughout the whole system of the tax office, whether it's substation or the main office. The other thing is it's being backed up in the main courthouse in Georgia's mainframe. So we have it on hard drive and we also have it backed up.
And what happens if I come in today and I am a generator of one of those records? Is that record generated as such today that we don't have to then turn around and scan it? Is it already within my system and able to load the
No.
microfiche so that it's...
And part, you know, I have, the last two tax conferences, I have had an ongoing conversation with one of the vendors about trying to bring us up into a position where we do a lot more of what you're talking about, but our budget cannot withstand that kind of expense. The total cost, the cheapest I can get at this point is about $66,000. Plus, there's ongoing fees that go with that, with the licenses that you have to renew each year.
But so there's no end to the information. It's generated every day.
And that's the other thing too, is trying to get, we have property tax records that fall under the property tax code by the state, which is a different type of function. And then we also have motor vehicle records, which fall under the guise of the motor vehicle department, as well as the, I forgot the state agency, but there's two state agencies.
State Library and Archives Commission.
That, and then you throw in the comptroller, and they have their own requirements. I mean, we've got a lot of people to answer to. So trying to merge all that into one software package, one type of technology, maybe in the future, but right now, with the expense of it, you know, it's like a lot of things. The more and more people are headed toward this type of process in their office, and that's to digitalize as much as they can and have less paper. But right now, it's cost prohibitive.
How much time is involved in the shredding of that material?
Well, once again, I couldn't give you a time factor. We could pay the state hospital or somebody else to shred those. They have a confidential agreement that we could sign with them, and they would, be liable for anything that was breached.
Would they take it whole from you or come
They
and...
would take it whole from us, and they would shred it. Once again, I'm not real comfortable with that situation.
But they pay nothing for that transaction, right?
That's correct.
We have a contract with Alberts with Paper Pig
We do.
deal.
And initially, we went that route, and we very quickly overspent our budget in 2013 with Paper Pig.
But so you're not, from a recycling standpoint, you're not looking for any return on that paper at all?
That's correct. We're looking at that. We're able to give back to the community through the state hospital because they let their workers take that shredded paper, and it gives their workers something to do, as well as it benefits their bottom line.
But if you take, if you actually put that paper in a Gaylord weekly, how much paper would there be? A Gaylord of a 3-foot-tall cardboard palletized box. I mean,
Let me rephrase that. The amount of what you're asking is the amount of paper that we generate in a given week.
discarded material.
Right.
How much paper do you have to discard if you didn't shred it? What kind of volume would it take up? The size of what?
Probably 2 4-drawer filing cabinets.
Bigger than a bread box.
You can go down into our office now in our storage area, and we've got these are probably 40-gallon bags. We've got about 6 of them ready to go.
Well, if that is any labor-intensive function, I mean, you can request the landfill, if you loaded that material in a Gaylord or in something easily for them to manage, they will excavate and place for you in there, cover, and then go on. So in a day's time, it's 12 foot deep.
Right. And we do have some records
If you wanted to
that
do
are
that.
of that nature, but we have other records that are not public information, and they do have to be shredded.
Clay, let me understand. Laserfish is working for the historical, but it won't work for the current.
It works for both.
Oh, it does? Well, I thought you
The
couldn't
only
do it.
problem with Laserfish at this point in time, it's how much money do you want to spend? As with most records throughout this county, you have your printed documents, which scan fairly easily, but you have printed documents that may have handwriting on them, or you have some documents that are all handwritten. And for us to get the software to convert that handwritten, now it'll still scan it and it will put it into your system and you can access it. But trying to retrieve that, it takes us almost back to where we were before, when somebody came in, an auditor, whoever, and they needed record, we would have to figure out first, okay, what cardboard file container is that in? And then once we find it, you're flipping through and hoping it's there. That's the other benefit of getting away from this, is we're not having to spend
What he's saying is that
time.
his current work
Yeah.
generated still has to be scanned in.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is.
Can't
this
be
is the
directly
ongoing
entered, it's got to
process.
be scanned in off of a piece of paper is what I'm hearing you say.
Right now, our
Yeah.
time lag is 60 days, especially in the bookkeeping area, because if auditors come in and they want to look at something paper-wise, we've got 60 days there, but we've got the 30 days. And we're taking that back 30 days of the 60, and we're scanning that. So that part's ongoing.
Clay, what is the purpose of producing the paper? Is it because we have to sign it before it's stored digitally? Why can't you just save it, instead of printing it, save it as a file, name it, and put it on and never generate a piece of paper?
Once again, I go back to what I was referencing to earlier. Because of the different agencies that we work with, the way they have set up their software programs, it does not, that doesn't factor in. I mean, we don't,
Okay, well,
it's not a digital record at this point in time.
Am I to
Let me ask
understand
you-
that to use Laserfish, you have to scan in and you can't directly digitally enter to Laserfish? I think that's the question, Lee.
Because, once again, we have the computers in departmental, in motor vehicle, those are state computers and that's state software. It took us almost 2 years to be able to even, where we could use credit cards in motor vehicle. It was 18 months ago that we got to a point where we could even have an outside internet line on those state-owned computers.
That was a
Because
state restriction, not
It's a
ours.
state security issue. It's not our issue, and that's what we battle with, because we have to work partnership with these other state agencies.
So you use their computers and software and generator, that's why you have to generate a document and then scan it in the records. There's a disconnect between
There
those
is
two
a
systems.
disconnect there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've tried to reach out and look at ways that we could bring everything into one modernized, mechanized model where, it's a free flow of information.
I'm sorry, Lee, I
Not having to
didn't mean to
generate
step
paper.
on you.
Does that
there,
answer
but-
the question?
Yeah.
No, not for me it doesn't. When you scan it and you put it in Laserfish, how many different types of files do you put it in there? One?
It's multiple files. Well, that one piece of paper depends on what document.
File types.
PDF.
Okay, in every organization that we send information to, they accept a PDF, correct?
Correct.
Instead of printing that document, save it as a PDF and put it on Laserfish. You never produced a piece of paper.
I would love to be able to do that, Lee,
Why can't we do that?
because the state
Computers and
software is
software.
not set up that way.
Could you do it on the county? Can you do it on the tax side?
We would have to get with Spindle Media and work that out.
You can't save a document on state computers as a PDF.
Period, because the software is blocking them. But on our own, we may could.
Playing with somebody else's playbook.
That's not issue. I mean, that's unfortunately with the software that the county has for multiple interfaces. LGS is the same way. The clerk's office, if they want to print a pleading, they have to just print it to a printer. Unless you have a printer PDF, which you would have to constantly have your printer set as your PDF printer to do that. It's not that easy to do even off of LGS. which is why we end up having offices that are printing
I'm
paper
not-
and scanning it in.
Now,
I guess I'll have to come down and sit at a computer with you because I don't understand what you're saying. When I go to print, it asks me, what do you want to do? You want to print it with this printer, this printer, this printer, or do you want to print it as a PDF and save it? Okay? That's been on every preview I've ever seen. And I guess what you're telling
not on
me is
all
that
the government.
option is not available on state computers.
That's right.
That's why I was giving the history behind us even trying to get to where we could even use that computer to be able to go to the outside world and get online and bring in some of those things.
Is the state not going paperless?
They may at some point in time. I know that Austin, their storage facilities have run out of space. They're like a lot of offices. They're getting to the point where you physically do not have space to handle the amount of documents. And some
I guess my point is, if we're all trying to go paperless, they should give us the opportunity to save a document in a PDF. Do you not agree?
They're willing to do a whole lot of things to correct everybody else, but not necessarily themselves. There's 150 of them gathered down there right now.
Yeah.
They're more interested in your business than
To me, that's just silly.
Because they would meet 2 days every 140 years instead of 140 days every 2 years. We'd be in better shape.
I don't even get what you're talking about with the preview that tells you what these are the options. I don't even get that window. It just prints automatically to whatever printer is your default printer.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Can you go into your print setup and set your PDF as your default?
But every single thing you print, whether you want it to be, is gonna go to PDF as opposed to needing to print to the local printer. So you've gotta have staff who understand how to change their default printer every time they need to print something from a different program.
That's just a learning curve that we could go through.
But you gotta
And we
remember
could
to do
stop
it.
generating,
But
well,
whether or not that's an option on the state side, I don't know, but I mean,
It's
that
not,
is.
it's not currently. And the other thing too is we need to keep in mind, line staff, with what you're wanting us to do, they have people at their windows. So if they're having to transfer back and forth between programs to make this happen, it slows down the process.
Why don't we probably move on to the item that we can
Yeah.
at least do today, and what you guys bring it up, but we went through, how many months I'm just saying with the state to get them finally to accept how we could do local credit cards.
Right.
They denied they were doing it, and then we knew they had a project going in Collin County. We finally got there. Now we've got a little bit of problems with our credit card company, and we need to probably address that and talk about
Yes.
some of that. Okay, I'd ask the court then, and Clay, let me see if this works for you.
Sure.
We put 480 hours is what you'd be approved for at the rate of $15 per hour with my staff, and that's what you would use up.
Okay. Is that
12,
Is that
months.
okay? Well, is that including the? And I'm not. It's an educated guess at best. It's just really difficult to until you've gotten into a project like this. It's just really difficult to determine the exact amount of time you need. And I don't come back to this court any more than I have to.
No,
Sure.
But what I'm doing is I'm wanting to do that. We look at this at 3-month increments. Meanwhile, let's explore those other alternatives that may or may not be an alternative.
Right.
But it's at least worth turning that rock over to look and see, is it faster? Is it cost competitive with that, or
Sure.
better or worse? And then you've got to look, the one we can't put a dollar on is how good do you feel from the security of that information standpoint. Maybe there's some information that's not sensitive.
There is.
That you might put that over here and we contract it out and we have that person under closer supervision, then do that you have concern about.
Okay.
You know, I don't know whether to divide that way or not.
Clay, how many hours have you used up so far on that 480?
Well, when we got the approval
30?
in December for 3 months, it was 480 hours, and we have used 197, not including last week's. So, like I said, we're
And you've achieved approximately 50% of your work.
55%.
So you've used less than half of that. Don't you think that those funds would be sufficient to get you where you need to be?
I think the current 220 minus last week's figures would get us at least to August, September. I know during the summer months, our college intern right now, or college temporary staff, whatever he is, he's going to have more time this summer. So it may be a 6-hour, 8-hour day, but once again, once the next semester starts up in the fall, it changes.
Okay, it's a matter of deciding on the hours the job finishes, you quit using it. If it doesn't, so what do you want to do? I need to know.
I would prefer we strike out the part about the calendar days and just have an hours.
Okay, we've already got past that. How many hours?
My
Give me-
second question is, when you brought that up about 480 hours, is that plus the 220 we might have?
No.
Okay, just 480 hours?
You didn't have 200. You didn't have 480 hours. You had 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we approve up to 480 hours for the continuation of the posting of imaging clerk for the tax assessor collector office to be at a rate of $10 per hour plus temporary staffing fees up to $5 per hour, for a total of 15. Imaging clerk will continue as employee of the temp service and have no Wichita County benefits. That'd be my
Second.
motion. And we'll see where that gets us, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You bet.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Watts to approve up to 480 hours at a total of $15 per hour with the staffing agency. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion covers 5-0. Okay, item 3, discuss, consider, or take action to authorize change in the indigent healthcare office position 640-05 from caseworker grade step 12D at $23.25.93 per month to assistant office manager caseworker at a grade and step of 12F, which would be then $28.49 per month effective at the start of the next pay period, with the increase in salary of $102.5 per month to be covered from current budgeted Department 640 personnel with no additional funding required. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes, this is our lady that's been filling in for Tanya. She's been cross-trained and for a long time now, so she doesn't have any problem at all just picking up and doing the job. And it just we just want to give her a pay increase, being that she is what is it, assistant supervisor in there now.
Well, yeah, and she's doing more because of the supervisor for that department has some medical issues and is out a great deal right now. So, and that's all going to come from currently budgeted funds. It's not an increase in that budget, but it is an increase in that salary line for that person's additional duties.
Yes, sir. So I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Judge.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Muller to approve the item as stated. Do you have comments or questions?
Did we lose our assistant office manager, or is this a
No.
new position?
Well, we've never had that position. She was just a caseworker, and Tanya, throughout the time that she's been there, has been training her to be the assistant, and it never has happened. And now with Tanya being that she's been out of the office more.
So she's just stepping up?
Right.
Okay.
And the other thing, we've increased that now that includes all of the jail and some other things. We've really kind of increased. If you look at all of a sudden our indigent health care numbers, you go, wow, wait a minute, what happened there? Well, we bring the jail numbers into that now by the bill that was passed session before last. So, all right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 4 is discuss, consider, take action to approve the county treasurer's report for March 2015 and authorize county judge commissioners to sign affidavit certifying compliance with section 114.026C for March 2015. Mrs. Province, Chief Deputy, is here to present that. You're here to present that?
Yeah. It's 3% down from this time last year. That's the total overall.
Commissioners, do you have any questions, or anyone in the audience have any questions?
I'd like to take just a minute, Judge.
Okay.
If my numbers serve me correctly, that's $1,752,000. It's what? Oh, I'm off a month. Okay. I was looking at February of 14 as opposed to March of 15. So, yeah. What was the number, Karen? 1.4 is the difference. So, Judge, if you take into consideration what our major budgeted projects have been for this last year, which include what our parking lots, what else is on, is the roof on there?
Yeah,
Roof is
roof,
on
yeah.
there, which we need about 3 more of now, as the last 10 days. We can account for
The majority of that was
a
planned
majority of that,
balance
yeah.
reduction.
That's my point, is
Yeah.
that was in there. That was budgeted. Matt, you may have those numbers, what all those major projects amounted to. So the difference looks large, but when you consider that those were budgeted projects and that were built into the budget, then it's not. It's not.
Okay. Any other comments? I have a motion then for this item.
I make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report and authorize the court to sign the same.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Watts to approve the item as stated. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We're down to public comments. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up? Yes, ma'am?
Judge Rathke, as you know, Saturday night, we learned that Ken Williams passed away, who, most of y'all know, worked here for a while. His wife Wanda worked in the county clerk's office, and now his daughter Kendra works for me. So I will be closing my office at 9:45 on Thursday until 1 o'clock, so we can go and show our respects to
From
them.
9:45 to when?
1, because the funeral's in Henrietta at the Cowboy Church, or the memorial service, and it starts at 11. We'll carpool over there and then come back.
Okay.
So
You cleared that with your other 2 judges?
I have not yet, but
You need to.
I will take care of that, but I feel like, out of respect for her in my office,
Lori, is
Years of
that,
service.
is Kenda, their daughter that works for you, and she had 2 brothers, right?
yes,
Okay.
Royce and Billy. Billy is in Vegas, I believe. Royce
Okay.
is here. So,
Is that going to be at, what church is that going to be?
Cowboy Church.
Henrietta Cowboy Church.
Henrietta Cowboy Church.
One on the hill on
Yeah.
11
287.
o'clock is the memorial.
Great guy.
And it starts at 11?
I'm sorry?
Starts at 11?
Yes.
And you're going to close at 9:45?
Well, yes, I figured by the time we get everybody out of my office, we load up in our vehicles and get over there in enough time to spend a little time with Wanda. And Kendra.
Anyone else? Matt?
Judge, if I may, just to clear the record for the previous motion on general business item number 2 for the electronic scanning after stop for county auditor, if the predecessor would prefer to having electronic items that are for our office, that can be done. We have that capability within our office. I didn't know if you were referring to outside auditors, but for our office, it is a capability.
That's what the outside auditors that.
Yes, thank you, West Well, there are other CPA firms that handle the auditing for the different other entities. Holiday ISD, Electro ISD, Electro Hospital, etc.
You know, Judge, just to comment on that, one of the things that's very important, Clay, is for us to understand that disconnect between those state computers and what we're trying to do in this records keeping deal, because on a pretty regular basis, we talk to our state legislators and others, and we need to be able to convey that message, because, boy, that's something that needs to be fixed. And if we don't know that's a challenge, then we don't get the opportunity to lobby for that change. And that's important for us to know from time to time, that's because these state legislatures, when we meet with them, they ask us, what's going on in county government, and those are things that we need to know that we can take to the table and maybe get that moved forward.
Well, they determine a lot that happen in county government, including right now, the legislature meeting with some of the bills that they will pass and that will affect the tax office.
Affect us all, you bet.
And not necessarily in a positive way.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of, I agree that communication goes a long way.
Yeah.
In trying to resolve some of those issues, especially as we all, and it's not just the tax office, it's not just Wichita County, but it's statewide. It's all of these agencies that at some point in time, they're going to have to move forward with this type of program.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir, Sheriff.
This weekend, obviously, we had a pretty wild weather event all weekend. And Friday evening, the electric got hit pretty hard with what was first called a tornado. It turned out to be pretty much all straight line type winds over 100 miles an hour. The city of electric requested us for help. They had no power at all. Everything was out, including the hospital and the PD. And the hospital got their emergency generator going, and the PD did. That was the only place that had any light or anything. Now they requested us to assist them through the night with patrols, as well as because all the burglar alarms on the banks, the businesses, nothing, everything was out. Yeah, there was a darkened inside of a cow up there, so we had to recall about 2 squads of deputies to come back in to provide patrols through the night, all the way until they got the power service back up until about 3 o'clock, when we released our people to go back home. So the 7 officers there in electric to take care of what they need to at that point. We also had the tornado that come by just on the north off of Vaughn Road area, Fairview area. There's quite a bit of damage up there. We didn't have a call out on that. The ownership deputies itself, they were able to go there and shut roads down, check people, and make sure that the Burke EMS was out there, Burke Fire, so everything was taken care of that way. So it was a pretty significant event to the whole weekend. I am proud to say that with all the wind and hail and flooding, we didn't have a patrol car floating, sunk, burnt, or damaged from anything. So our guys did a good job, being real aware of keeping the cars out of line of fire and doubling up in some of the older units in case we didn't get the big hail that we were kind of expecting. I want to get thrown out of the Electra incident. One of our K-9 officers was coming through the on the onset of his whole response, coming through the housing addition, and he saw smoke coming out of the front door of the apartment. And he stopped, and some people outside said, "Yeah, so-and-so lives there, but I don't know whether she's home or not." And his actual was on fire. The deputy went in and rescued her. She was an elderly woman, and she didn't want to come out of the room that was burning, fire everywhere, because she couldn't find her dog. And Gabe Villarreal was a big enough deputy. He snatched her up in one hand and found the dog, grabbed it by the neck on the way out the door. And the lady had suffered first, second degree burns on the legs and ankles because of the fire. So he was able to get there and get her out just in time before the fire department had a response. It's interesting, we had 2 structure fires in that incident in town. Both of them were working fires. The first one was in the housing addition. The second one was on the south side of the tracks. Due to the power lines being knocked down and the power heads coming in, pulling all the wiring up, causing shorting and different things. So it was kind of a busy night.
And some poor old boy decided to rob the liquor store in Electra when there was more police presence in Electra, Texas. Than
yeah, that was an allegation. That's been a bad deal, but
that's 10 years.
Apparently, when the power's out at a certain liquor store in the west end of in the county, they want to do business cash only in the dark. And the guy didn't have the owner didn't have a credit card machine that would work, and he demanded her to take his card. He had no cash, and we got reported shots being fired, at least 4 shots fired. It had been a bad day in OK Corral for bad guys when we got there. There was no bad guys. He had already left, and there was only shots fired, we believe, that happened afterward. The shop owner fired some rounds on the ground. Of course, they didn't see nothing, nobody heard nothing, and they lied to us, that's all. So, good
Sheriff
news is
Duke, what was the name of the deputy that went in a burning building and saved that lady?
Gabe Villarreal, I'll send you his name.
He's K-9.
He's K-9.
Yeah.
Good hand, too.
Yeah.
Good hand. So, we'll be doing a little something for him. So he doesn't know that yet, though.
I want to comment on that. I left immediately before it actually came my way. I was en route up there, and when I got there, the sheriff was already both running east and west and north and south on those roads. It had just passed through and had rained terribly hard rain to the east of Electra at this time, and coming in, they already had the down wires protected with patrol cars, and they were checking for any other thing. So, I mean, I was elated to see that you had so many guys already on task doing what they needed, because I know that it's scary for the PD being, you know, small to cover all the stops they needed. And I did see the fire. We were close by up there when that happened, and large smoke, so that was a fantastic thing. I didn't know exactly what had happened, but
Yeah, it got pretty rocky up there. I come through by the go cook-off area on the fairground, and it looked like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
That place was tore off. There's one huge smoker out there still cooking and smoking, so that guy was in to win it, I guess. He didn't leave, but everything else was everywhere. It was a mess up there.
Yeah.
So, of course, in all the look-a-loos get out, we had to block all them out.
There were some interesting stories about whether someone tried to steal their bead locker or it blew down the road a ways.
Well, good chance it blew down the road, because they did a lot of damage to it.
That's what was funny, but it made a better story to say somebody was stealing theirs. It was finely rubbed and everything, and that's why they wanted it.
Yeah. Chief Better got a comment about our RFPs for our medical provider. We've got 4 in.
I just wanted to say real quick that, this Friday is the question and answer session with the people bidding for at medical. Had 4 people indicate they're going to show up, 4 companies, and that's Southern Health Partners, Southwest Corrections Medical Group, Farmer Corrections, and our current provider of Correct Care Solutions. And that'll be at 9 o'clock this Friday in the Commissioner's courtroom.
Judge, I'd like to point out that in our weather event that we had in Burke Burnett, people come from all over to help. Even the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, Game Warden Key was set up on Vaughn Road, directing traffic, and we were out assessing the damage and making sure the roads were clear for our emergency vehicles. We live in a good place. A lot of people come together to help folks, and just wanted to say thank you to all those folks that helped us.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to comment on that as well, what Commissioner Harvey says. Precinct 2 and Precinct 3 was both on hand to help remove debris in the city of Electra there, and came to throw in a helping hand, so that expedited. The sheriff was rolling in those calls of, hey, trees over here and a power line here, and so to have the hands to run through it quickly, it certainly made the city feel at ease, knowing that they had the ability to get across everything safely now. So, yeah, great support and great help.
I talked with a number of them several times that night. Appreciate your all's responses. Once you all got up there and helped clear the roads, they didn't need it. They turned down the additional stuff we offered them, and so that's their call. And I did have a couple of calls about why we didn't do a disaster declaration. It didn't reach the level to do that. Tried to get the MSNBC, Kerry Sanders, come up and eat at the goat barbecue, but he took the short route and sent me a picture of he and the group eating crawfish at the Cajun Festival. And then they were headed to Oklahoma City, given the storm predictions for there. So At any rate, everything went very well. Do appreciate all the responses. Okay, we do have a closed session item posted, briefing and discussion with Wichita County District Attorney's Office regarding Ronnie Hudson. This meeting is closed pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney. It is 11:56, and we will go into recess. Okay, you can go back there. Yeah.